What's going on, legend? But welcome back to Beyond the 90, where we have beaten Charlton by 1 goal to 0 away from home. Initial thoughts before I get into some of the more detailed, I just want to give Charlton some credit. I mean, considering they came up from League One, when we came into the Premier League before, into the Championship, sorry, and I believe it was Preston, or I can't remember they were flying up the table. We played them a few months in, and all of a sudden, they sat back with five at the back and they just like break us down. Charlton didn't do that. They decided to come. They gave us a really good game. I think if they keep playing like that in the season, they will end up getting points, and I think that'll be enough to stay up. They played really well. But obviously, we're a Leicester channel. We'll get into some of the specific players and stuff in just a second. But just want to get something else before we go on. Casey McAteer has gone for 12 million. I mean, I'm happy we got that kind of fee. Let's be honest, he's kind of fourth choice. Been asked for him to be a bit braver, and I think he's going to into Ipswich, which going credit to him and well done for all that you've done for us. He leaves here with a trophy at least, yeah, and a relegation on his cards. But you know what? At least that was something that was great. So well done to Casey. Thank you for all you got. But you've got to kind of move on to the next one. So let's go on to the first lineup that we've got. So when this team came out, there was a couple of glaring issues. Obviously, Silco, no Silco Thomas, sorry. Um, no, no Skip obviously comes into the team over Winks, which I think actually was the right decision, even though I think that Winks is still a better player, and I'm not a massive fan of Winks. No Justin, so it looks like he's going or in the process of going. Same with Bilal. The last few days have rolled in round of the transfer window now, and we have to get our money's worth of players. So coming into this formation, Monga gets his first start, which I thought, I'll be honest, in the game, he did go a bit quiet, and that's absolutely fine. When he turns it on, he can be absolutely electric. And yeah, just incredible. He didn't really do that well in today's game, we know he's an incredible talent, and he's coming. Today wasn't his game. That's absolutely fine. We'll come into his replacement in just a second. I looked at his formation, and went, oh, interesting. We saw Ricardo was back on the bench, which I thought was good. I looked at this and went, initially, these two are a problem area. And that's actually something that I didn't mention in the last session. Um, Looking back after it and going, these two have been targeted in the past by opposition teams, and I think they will continue to be. Well, but the back line wasn't too surprising considering Justin was out of the team. Hamza, we'll get into some of the specifics in the game. Are you starting? Nobody really disagrees. For Taru, obviously starting, but we were excited to see this young lineup as well. Page, I think, did well. I think he missed a couple of opportunities, but considering he's 17, it's his first start. He gave it the energy. And we had quite a few players in this game that had their first caps or from the academy. I mean, you look at this team, even starting. Fatawa's not from the academy. Monga's from the academy. Page is from the academy. Thomas is another one. Hamza's another one. Solarchek's another one. So there's quite a few players in here that are from the academy, which is great to see. However, in the first half, we started pretty slow. Um, and it felt like at times we lost control of the game. The pressing wasn't really there. It was, let's be honest, I think throughout the game, and this is credit to Charlton, it was a pretty 50-50 game. You couldn't tell that these two teams were in one league, in the top league and in the third league, coming into the second league. You couldn't tell. And that's a credit, I think, to Charlton, but also we need to get ourselves in gear. We've been starting games too slow, and oppositions aren't going to give us the time. I'm happy with some elements of it, but that was one thing. There wasn't too much to mention. Um, we'll come on to some of the specifics throughout later. I think one thing I wanted to mention, especially before, I forgot who the left back was or the person that was playing against Thomas, but Thomas sometimes looks like, and I mean it in the nicest way possible. Um, do you know the Spider-Man meme? Where you kind of like this, and he's webbed and he's grabbed onto the train and he's holding on the train, he's holding on for dear life. That's how Thomas looks at times. And that the majority of the game looks like he's just hanging on. I think one thing he needs to improve, especially in this league, might not be the most technical of players, but he needs to improve his physicality. Championship will box you, they'll batter you, they'll hit you left, right, and centre to get everything off you. And I think Thomas needs to be more physical for the league. I mean, you go diving into challenges and and are reckless. So that's something that Hamza, which I'll get into in a second, has got better at his game. But he needs to be more physical. Um, and we'll get into another player that actually got that a lot better. And considering the left back options that we've got, it looks like this is the one that he likes the most. We've seen the most in preseason. He's played every single game, barring a few minutes, I think, in the last game. Thomas for this game. Who have we got? Christiansen, been nowhere near it, barely seen him. I think he's got to transfer out. You've got Mr. Koulibaly, who again is just. I think I should put round missing photos around the city centre to see if anybody's seen him. Because we just don't see him at all. Um, and then you've got obviously James Justin, who again didn't play the game, so it looks like him. So Thomas is it, but I think Thomas needs to improve his physicality a bit more. Um, there was another thing I mentioned throughout the game, throughout especially in the first half, the pressing was not together. There was individuals and the way that we set up, and yes, I know we're still in. This is basically our preseason, and this has been a really easy start. We could have got embarrassed. I know we've lost one game, um, but overall, I think there is elements of good things, but there's elements of we still there's work that needs to be done. I believe in Marty. I think he'll get it sorted. But now that we've had, like, for example, Casey's gone, Bilal's not there, James Justin's not there. Obviously we've had Hermansen's now left. Ndidi's gone as well. We're starting to see the squad look a bit what's what I'm looking for? Not Ozempic. That's the only one that's coming to mind at the moment. Thin in the face, thin, and you're like, oh, there's bits of issues here. It's not massive, but at the same time, you say, oh, when you take out five players of the squad, you do notice the difference. And this is bearing in mind before we get to any injuries, because when we start to get injuries, which we looks like Mavididi apparently was a muscle injury, so I don't think it's too serious. Um, We'll see how long he's out for when the manager speaks. But there is elements of this squad which is weak. And one of the things that was weak, especially in that first half, was the press. We weren't pressing together as a unit. It seems like, and it was very easy for Charlton when they had the ball to almost get the keeper out, bring it to the central defender, put it where they wanted. They weren't breaking through us all the time, and that's the difference between a team that's just come from the Premier League and a team that's come from the Championship, so come from League One. But the way I put it, and I think about my notes, I put it, we looked as good as them. And I think that's something to mention. But in the first half, I want to give a credit to a couple of players in particular, and they'll get credit in the second half as well. Throughout the game, Hamza looked really good. Considering, not he's the best, but considering this not his natural position, he is not a right back, he is a CDM, he is a destroyer, but I think the physicality of the championship, he's really adapted to, and he deserves to kind of keep his place. I think at 62 minutes I saw him and he was beat. He was absolutely running to the ground because he's given everything for the team. So I wanted to give him credit. A Coley, that's the strongest game I saw. That's not hard because the last two games he's not looked very good at all. Um, but I could see him kind of understand the championship and the rhythm and how to defend against certain players, especially the physicality. I think he'll be brilliant in the championship. Vestergaard actually looked, wouldn't say brilliant. I'd say not as poor as he usually looks, which I know is not the point we're supposed to be making, but we're so far off it at the moment. So shout out to them three, especially in the first half. And then Charlton, there's a player called Coventry, who had a 35 minutes of an unbelievable strike, and Stolarczyk had a brilliant save. It reminded me of an Everton save or a Schmeichel save of past years as well. Stretching for it, knocking it over. Majority of the time they go in. It was a brilliant shot and as good a save as well. So Stolarczyk throughout the game looked just brilliant. Thoroughly deserves his clean sheet, and some of the defenders do as well. And I know I've picked on Thomas a little bit. It's not saying he was bad. He just needs to work on things because at times the defenders, and we'll get onto how Marty changed the formation later to deal with that. They were kind of dragging him out, and they did make a substitution. But Luke Thomas, they kept pounding him, and he did keep at it. But at times, against better opposition, he's going to get absolutely embarrassed. Let's go to the other players as well that we were looking at. Fatau didn't have his best game in the first half. they were getting the ball to him, but especially in the beginning, they were crowding out and they were trying to do a similar thing to Preston, where Preston would double up on, especially for Tawu. They noticed that he was the man that was going to cause them the most threats, especially now Bilal's gone. And they put two men on him. In the first half, they couldn't get Fatawu into the game. Monga didn't really was a bit quiet as well. I think they've kind of done the same with him. And again, he's learning. He's super young. He's a child, so he is going to be an amazing talent. But he's learning. I think it's a good example of learning in this game. Page, I thought I was really impressed with him. Um, Considering his age, considering he's not played, considering he was playing at times, I think he got into, I think one place in the second half, he got from a corner, he got into outside the box and he hit it with the side of his foot, went straight over. No, that's fine. The young kid. I thought he for a 60-minute cameo that he did, I think he looks good. But I again want to give credit to Charlton. They neutralized us. They made us pay. They made us work hard for it. They knocked into us when they needed to as well. Um, and yeah, I wanted to get into some of those specifics because we aren't going to look that good going forward. Then looked at halftime thinking, bloody hell, it's going to be another Preston kind of performance. We're going at halftime, 0-0. You're thinking, okay, we've got away with one there, but the teams were pretty even throughout. Um, the second half starts, and for Tau, I mean, let's just talk about the goal first. It was sublime. It was such a good goal. Um, Fatawa gets in these positions where didn't quite beat his man, tries to go on the outside, didn't quite work, and this time he shifts, gives that little bit yard of space, and the explosiveness that we've talked about before from Fatawa, how he gets there, knocks the ball in, and then just whips it. I just stood there, kind of like hands on the head, kind of thinking, "Oh my God, that's a brilliant goal," and well done to him. Um, Fatawa looked so good throughout the game. I just wanted to give him his flowers because he was fantastic. Um, really good wonder strike. But Samore is probably the easiest assist that he will ever get, isn't it? Just a little pass. Fatau just made that all himself. And that moment of magic, just like to create the game for the second goal, um, the second goal, the first goal against Preston, I thought he was really good as well. Then we make some substitutions. Page comes on for Daka. So Daka then plays. Ayu drops into the 10. Daka, man, he runs around, man, but he doesn't I don't see what he offers to the team. One time he gave this really awful backwards header, like he ran in, headed it towards our own goal, and the defense go, "Oh God, what would you have to do with this now?" And then I think it came over and Justin, I think Thomas cleared it off the lines, but Daka, I'm just struggling to see what he brings into the team apart from the way I describe it. You were younger, you start cooking. Where your mum's like, "Oh, let's make some food," and your mum does all the work, and you just kind of stand there with a spatula, going, "He." That's kind of what Daka does in the team, I find. Um, he doesn't really do a lot, and I think I don't like that. But also, we have a lot of choice. If we can get somebody in before the window, I think we've all been crying out for a striker. And I think Jordan Ayew is not going to be able to play every game. Let's be honest. Daka's gonna be it, and especially when it comes towards the Winter's game of two games in a row, we're gonna have to need it. Now Casey is gone. We might be able to bring some other people in, but we'll have to see. But yeah, something else I'll put in. Charlton looked, they were at it, and they were at it for 90 minutes. Let's give them credit. They didn't let off. They didn't hold up. They defended well. They had the better opportunities, I believe, throughout the entire game. Um, and I think they created the better opportunities. We did ride our luck at times. And just looking at this average formation, if I get into here as well and bring this up for the substitutes, they attacked quite well. If we're looking at this average formation, look how attacking Nathan Jones was in the game. You can see here how, again, it's a bit of an unfair one because I was playing halfway. He was playing nine and then he was dropping, but sometimes he was dropping all the way down. Like when he was playing, he was dropping all the way. Let's see if I'm just sharing the right screen. I am. Ayew was dropping all the way down here at times, and even as I had a Samori, I'm like, get up the pitch. Like you need to be Again, yes, you can drop deep sometimes. That's fine, but it's linking and bringing people in. But yeah, I found that some of his positional was good. Some of these match races I thought were a bit. We'll get into some of these as well. Page got 5.7 off. This is the problem with doing statistics. I don't think it really reflected on how good they were. Page I thought was better than a 5.6. Same with IU. I thought IU had like a six, more than a six, like 6.5. Samori, in my opinion, Samori had a good game. Sometimes we all know we can switch off and he's like, I don't know what I'm doing. As a central midfielder, especially against a more physical opposition, it seems like he knows what he's doing a little bit more. Linking up, think he played nicely. Um, and yeah, so it's um it's a good opportunity, I think, for Samore to show himself, and hopefully he can keep this up. Because I'll be honest, we don't really have any replacements. Who can we play there? The close person I can think is a Hamza, and then you're putting in Ricardo as right back, but we don't really have a backup. Could you play wings here? You could, because that's what Enzo used to do. But then you got to invert somebody with him. That's again another alternative for you. But we don't really play wing backs as much. Um, then there was about a few minutes after the game, and I think this match reaction will show you. There was a few minutes after the goal where it was all Charlton. There was just they had the momentum, they had the time, and it was another opportunity. And in another game, I think that guy Coventry, from who plays for Charlton, could have got a hat trick. One in the first half, and then two in the second half. Um, Another thing, Starchick overall had a good game, had a great game, and I think he's embedding himself as his number one. But a couple of other things I want to mention was Solarchek really fumbled an opportunity about 67 minutes in. The corner came in from Charlton, then it was headed across, and Solarchek swings for it, misses, and luckily IU was there. I think it was Coventry, just to tidy up and get rid of them. He was all over the place for that particular corner. Other times he was really well assured. He was good. Um, and then there was literally a couple minutes later, he had another chance where Coventry they came in. I keep thinking Charlton from Coventry, Coventry from Charlton. See, I can't keep doing it. Um, could have had a hat trick. It bobbled around and it went to Slarchik, which was a good save, but he could have had another hat trick as well, or he had a hit it over the bar. Then we started to swap some things around more. Again, I'm really enjoying the fact that Marty, give him credit, is using all five substitutes, especially with this attacking high press football that we're trying. We're gonna need it. And a player that got his first substitute, well, second appearance actually, I believe second appearance. Well, it might be his first. I'll have to look into that. Um, Silko Thomas came on for Monga. Again, Monga didn't do anything wrong. He just didn't, we didn't really see him. He had a bit of his lull game, which is fine. We're going to get that from a player. For Tawu in the game, there was lots of things where he didn't quite pay off. There was a really stupid opportunity where I think in the first half where he's chasing a player out for a corner, just runs into him and then gives him a corner for nothing. And you're going, well, why have you done that? But obviously, Fatawu's got that excellence, that brilliance in, and I think that with they trust him and they think right, how can we get the ball to him and how can he make some magic, and that magic won us the game. I think the 1-0, I'll be honest with you, was probably a 1-1 was fair in the game because Charlton were really good. We need to improve, but again, this is still, I'm not going to blame Marty too much because he's not had any time with the squad. He's not had any time with this squad really to embed his system and his style, and yet he's losing players all the time. Every week it seems like we'd lost another player of that main squad. So okay, I've got to adapt. I've got to figure out how to do this. Um, but yes, Solarchek I thought was good throughout. And then there was um there was a chance where Charlton put the ball in the back of the net, but Okoli was wrestled to the ground. I've seen them given. It was a good bit of look. We normally beat the refs and say they're rubbish, they're useless. There's a good bit of referee spotting that it was thrown to the floor because it wasn't the person that headed that put it in. So I thought that was good. And then we made our final two substitutions at about 83 minutes. Fatawu came off for Fass, which I thought was okay. But I didn't expect Fatawu to come off, but I think it was at a point it was damage limitation. I think Marty spotted that. You could argue it was a bit too it was too early, but considering 83 minutes and then we finished at 96 or 94 or something, because we had a few minutes extra added time in the first half. Um, and then we put on Chowdhury and Ricardo, and I mentioned Monga and Silvertoms before. At the same time, Skip comes on for Winks, and I said before, I didn't notice him. I would still prefer him to start because attitude is better, but Winks when he came on at what giving him I think it's set 50, 25 minutes was running the show. You can tell he's a better player going forward offensively, and at times once he came on, especially towards the end, and that does help with Charlton being running themselves into the ground and being tired. But Winks looked back to his best, winning the ball, harrying, pressing, getting the ball in dangerous positions, putting some goal. I think there was one time he got the ball on the left, took on a player, put in a brilliant cross, and Daka didn't really do much with it. No, not surprising. But Winks is looking back to his best coming off the bench. I don't know if he should be starting overall because of his attitude, but also we decided to change the formation up at the time. Ricardo came on for the first ever appearance this season, his first appearance this season in the Championship. Um, and so we actually decided to change. So you mentioned I was talking about before where they were getting embarrassed, and they were a little bit. We actually changed to this kind of formation. I don't know how to exactly describe it, but we basically went to a back five. We played Daka up top, RU, and then Silko Thomas was kind of hanging around his area. At times he came back and filled in with the three. So at times it was like a 3-5-3-1-1. This was more about damage limitation at this point, which I think was absolutely fine. But looking at this and how it works, we had when they came on, when we took off Fast, there was no booze for Fast. I'm quite glad because, or they were very quiet. We couldn't really hear them as much. And then Chowdhury came off and Ricardo came on. And so at times we looked like we were just going to hang on for dear life. Silko Thomas actually did okay since he came on. I didn't notice him too much. He run himself around a lot. It was nice. Him and Winks were the pressing was a lot better in this kind of formation. But we decided we are gonna, especially for corners, we were lacking, where we were gonna hang on for the 1-0, which in normal circumstances I don't think it's too bad. Let's be honest, we just need to get points on the board at this point, and then we can worry about the performances later. But there is good signs that things are improving. Um, there is good things, but at times we did feel like we rode our luck, and that's a bit annoying. But what can we do? And then looking at again the formation, how we ended. A Coley came in because normally he gets substitute off for Fast. This first game he stayed on, and when he has stayed on, we normally play. If I get rid of Ricardo a second, him coming on to right back. But he actually stays the back three. Fast gives more support for Thomas, which I thought was a good move. I'll be honest with you, from Marty. Yes, it is like negative technically, but you can see what I mean. Samori, I think, was good. Ricardo, I think, came on. It was great to see him on once again. I think he linked up quite well with Silko Thomas. So Silko was here. Ricardo then pushed up. And Cody pushed up as well. So there were times when they had the ball, there was good harrying from these players, these front five that we had there. Um, and I thought that overall, we can't. Some people say we got away with one. Some people say we kind of deserved it. I think overall we deserved a draw. Um, but look, confidence is key in this game, and we saw last season the opposite of confidence is also as powerful. If we can get a bit of momentum going and start to now go right, we need to kind of have the people that need to go, which is I think which is great, which is what Thingy have done, um, which is what the manager has done. He's got rid of the players that are on the keeps or potentially that we're going to lead. So here's the squad we've got, who we're going to play. Now with Casey going, obviously Silko Thomas comes in. I still think that Jake Evans can play that 10 in behind a striker. So I'd love to see him have a chance in the squad as well. I'd be interested to see who we can bring in. Overall, I'm happy with what we were trying to do. This is still going to be work in development, I think, until December. I know we're approaching the end of August now, soon, but yeah, this is still work in progress. Back the manager, kind of still not got a sponsor. By the way, that kit still looks really, really good. So Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see you all in the next video. So goodbye.